Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of The Man Tracks. As always, I am your host, JJ.
And I'm Sarah.
The other host.
Sorry, I cut you off.
This is like a commentary on Christian life and culture, but really it's just Sarah and JJ scour the internet for awesome stories.
And hang out for half an hour, you know.
Yeah, this is the place where you take a break from all the things that have a point. Some people are like, well, do you do like news stories that are important? And it's like, no, we do not.
No, nothing you listen to today will be important at all.
But it's going to be funny, and it's going to be a wonderful, just a rest from all the rest of the crazy world. And that's what we love about this podcast. And so, in classic form, are you ready to approach the news desk?
I am.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So it's an NPR article, and it says, here's what 2023 has in store as predicted by experts in 1923.
1923.
So there are some interesting visions as to what 2023 might look like, according to scientists and sociologists in 1923. So things along the lines of curly-haired men, 4-hour workdays, 300-year-old people, and watch-size radio telephones.
Wait, you're going too fast. I gotta start with the first one. Curly-haired men are a prediction of the future. Did they not have curly-haired
So let me
men?
read. So it was actually sparked by a tweet thread from a instructor at the University of Calgary who compiled newspaper clippings from experts forecasting what 2023 would look like. This guy's name is Paul Ferry.
Yeah, sure.
And this is what he says. A list of predictions made in 1923 about 2023. No more hard work by 2023. The workday will only be 4 hours long.
People are pushing for that. I have seen articles that say we should have a 4-hour workday, so that's not so far off base.
Women will blacken their teeth and shave their heads.
I haven't seen anything about black. Why
Radios will replace gasoline. Radio will replace gasoline, sorry.
It seems to me like that maybe that was a new technology, right? And it's really exciting, and maybe they didn't understand how it works. You know what I mean? Like they were like, this new technology will solve all of our problems. And
We
it's
won't
like,
have to have this anymore. Yeah, so all people will be beautiful. Fewer doctors and present diseases unknown. All people will be beautiful. Beauty contests will be unnecessary, as there will be so many beautiful people that it will be almost impossible to select winners. The same will apply to baby contests. Apparently, we'll have reached the height of genetic perfection.
beauty.
Yeah. The life expectancy will be 100 years, and then later he says the life expectancy will be 300 years.
So it's like different newspapers that are predicting this. Okay.
Yep.
I love it.
People will wear kidney cozies. Like, you know what a teapot cozy is? Where you have like a little thick, so kidney cozies?
Like
I don't know why.
on a kid, like on the
on
organ
kidney,
that's on the inside of your body?
Yes, yes.
I feel like that's a gross misunderstanding of how the body works.
Men will curl their hair.
What? Why? What? Like,
based on the statements of trend in masculine and feminine styles, men will curl their hair.
Based on okay. So not just like men will have curly hair, but there will be men out there using curlers.
I mean, they're not wrong.
No,
men curl their hair.
Do they?
2023.
I own a hair. What's it called? A hair blower.
Men
hair dryer?
are much more concerned about. I don't know. I feel like this generation.
Oh, much.
Sure.
Yes. Like my parents and grandparents never looked in the mirror so much.
Because it's very different with like what's taboo and not now because of our understandings of gender now. Like
I do think that was a big thing. I think
there were very, very clear defined stereotypes for men and women. Those are starting to fade away now.
Well, like kind of like in the animal kingdom, right? You get like a peacock, right? And the male is like super beautiful and competes for the female's attention, and the female's like brown and frumpy or whatever. And in the human world, it was kind of reversed, right? The men were all frumpy, and women would like peacock and beautify themselves. But as we've gotten to a more like equal world, the men have to beautify themselves too. Women have higher standards, and they expect men to look fit.
Get on my level, man.
Yeah.
Curl your hair.
So now we're all.
Yep.
Are you gonna buy me a curler for my birthday?
Oh boy. The next one says the U.S. will have a population of 300 million.
Ooh, not even. We have 350, right? Like. Yeah,
Canada will have a population of 100 million.
I don't know how that compares to reality.
Utensils will be made of pulp.
What? That is a weird idea.
Flights from Chicago to Hamburg will only take 18 hours. It's a little less than that. Newspapers will have been out of business for 50 years. Well, there's something.
That's pretty solid. 100 years
That's a pretty astute observation.
Yeah, 100 years ago, they were predicting the death of newspaper. That's smart. I think that's it. They are still around, but honestly, most of them are primarily non-print formats,
True.
right? Like, it basically is true, yeah.
Listen to this one. Private kitchens will disappear. The private kitchen will disappear. Tomorrow's food will be seasoned and prepared by chemical formulas which will preserve the freshness of fruits and meats, rid them of indigestible qualities, and send them to the table ready to use. Instead of sauces that merely cozen the palate, we will have delectable blends of concentrated vitamins, calories, ferments, and tissue tonics. It's not that far off.
It's almost exactly right, because it sounds like back in the day, the
that.
kitchen was not just cooking, but also preparing food for storage, right? Like, we don't really do that anymore.
Nope.
We just use it for cooking, for like flavoring what we're about to eat. That's fascinating. Yeah, because I mean, basically they're describing multivitamin pills, right?
Oh, yeah. Cancer will be eradicated.
Ugh, I wish.
War will be wireless, and we might have telepathy.
Is you know that thing where you talk out loud to each other about something and then Google starts showing you commercials?
Oh,
is
yeah.
that telepathy?
I think that is.
I'm manifesting
you were at TJ
it.
Maxx. We thought you might like to go next door to the dollar store.
Did you talk about dog food? Here's an ad for dog food.
Well, we were just talking about this the other day. We were talking about something, and like I was like, man, I really need, or I really like, or I really want, and then all of a sudden you were like scrolling. You were like, oh my gosh, look at these targeted ads
for the
everything we had just been
same
talking
thing,
about.
Yeah. It's super creepy.
So, this last one says people will communicate using watch-size radio telephones.
Oh, what? Wait. So.
By 2023, there will be no mail between New York and San Francisco. Pittsburgh and London concerns will be record on talking films. Orders from merchants and Peking and 1,000-mile-an-hour freighters will make deliveries of goods before sunset. Watch-size radio telephones will keep everybody in communication with the ends of the earth.
I mean, it's really close. I don't think they would have thought of like the existence of Amazon. We're still delivering stuff all over the world.
Yep.
So that's still happening. But honestly, I've got a smartwatch right here. I can't do video chats on it though. But some of them can't they? I think like the super advanced ones.
I don't know.
Pretty
I'm
darn
not advanced
close.
enough to know.
Well, but they wouldn't even have had a concept of video chat,
No,
right? So
no.
they're just saying a phone that watch that can talk,
can communicate.
radio.
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
Cell
So those
phones.
are their predictions for the
That's
future.
amazing.
From 1923.
Oh, that's such a good find.
It's just crazy. I just had to laugh.
I'm grateful for that man on Twitter who found these,
right? Oh my
scoured
gosh.
the old 1923 newspapers.
That's just so crazy cool.
All right, Canada. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. They put this out every year. They put out worst 911 calls.
Oh no.
To try to teach people to respect the 911 service, because people call in for some of the dumbest stuff ever, right?
Things that are not emergencies?
Yeah. 911 is reserved for emergencies, right? Here are the top 10 calls that the RCMP say, quote unquote, missed the mark last year, which they're being super polite. These are just dumb 911 calls that's like, you are abusing this service. That is not what 911 is for.
Are these like things that happened repeatedly, like common calls, or is it like one?
I think they're individual cases.
Okay.
So this one's called Memory Lane. A caller called in and asked the operators if they knew the name of the polite RCMP officer who had served in their community. The caller was hoping for an update on how the officer's family was doing. While well-meaning, this certainly is not considered an emergency.
Oh, no, that's a misuse of the emergency.
They had a nice conversation with the police
I really
officer.
like that person.
I just want, how is their family doing? Ma'am, is this an emergency? Like, hold,
There's
please.
something wrong?
Dispatchers received a call from a person who didn't want to be on hold after being told they need to pick up some paperwork at their local RCMP detachment.
What?
Didn't want to go into the police station to get some paperwork, so I'll just call 911.
That's weird.
A caller advised OCC operators that they had swallowed a mosquito, choked, and lost their dentures leaving them unable to eat dinner.
First of all, I want to see video of that because that sounds really entertaining.
An individual called in and advised they needed assistance deleting a voicemail off their phone.
Just go help your grandpa. Come on, your grandpa needs help. You go help him.
It is a little bit like they call 911 because they have no one to help them with this.
That makes me sad.
An individual called 911 to advise that there was a cougar on the loose in their city. When the call taker asked for details about the cooler, the caller laughed and said the cougar's name is Cindy.
Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
Now, it does say, now here's, like, it's a joke and it's funny because it's ridiculous, but they do say the misuse of 911 can potentially delay someone from experiencing life-threatening emergency from getting help. So it's like, for someone who is actually experiencing a life-threatening emergency, it can delay them from getting the help that they need. So please don't call 911. That's not funny. This caller advised that they purchased $65 worth of fast food, only to find that their roommate ate the order.
Who the heck is spending $65 on fast food? Where are you ordering fast food? My gosh.
The caller requested that the RCMP officer come and sort out the disagreement. I need you to send someone over here.
911 is? It's not a police officer who's going to come over and, like, arrest somebody.
A concerned individual called about a hostile cat and asked an RCMP officer to bring it to a local animal shelter for them.
Yes, I'm sorry, sir. I will not be able to do that.
Ooh,
call animal control.
This one, I do wonder, right? I think a lot of people do not know how to look up, like, the normal police number, right?
Yeah, maybe they were seeking 411.
Yeah, they don't know that, and so they just think, well,
just information.
911 is just the only thing I know, right? And so I just call 911. All right, so this one has a punny title. Can we talk boot it? A dispute at a clothing store resulted in a call to 911. Customer was very upset with the manager of the store who refused to accept the return of already worn winter boots.
Oh my god.
They won't take my winter boots back. Call 911.
Sorry, sir. We're unable to resolve your dispute.
I feel like some people say, I'm going to call the police, and then they don't actually know how to call the police, so they call
911, which is a gross misuse of government property.
A caller called 911 and advised that they were out of milk and requested an RCMP officer to pick up some for them.
I'm sorry, that is not my job.
It's not DoorDash. It's not Instacart.
It's not DoorDash. I'm sorry. You might want to just call your nephew for that one, son.
Oh, I love that they did this. They put together this amazing list.
That's ridiculous.
And the final one, a concerned individual called 911 to advise their bathtub drain was clogged and the water wouldn't go down.
You're going to need a plumber for that one. Wow. What? Are you stuck in the drain?
Are you choking? Are you drowning? Are you,
You're not drowning.
No. This is literally just, you don't know a plumber's number.
You're searching for 411. 411, not 911.
I love it so much. So, well, and I think it's a fun way to kind of draw attention to, like, hey, seriously,
Stop.
911 is an important emergency line. Do not call.
Reserved for emergency purposes only.
Yep. So that's a very fun way.
Maybe
so
we
they
just
put
need a
out
refresher
list.
course on what is an emergency.
Yes, 1,000%.
It's like what I have to tell my 6-year-old all the time. Is there blood? Is there yes. anyone seriously injured? Okay, then it's not an emergency.
All right, are you ready for Sponsor of Your Life?
Yeah, I am.
So, for those who don't know, Sponsor of Our Life segment is a piece where our little podcast doesn't actually receive any help or assistance, but we have so many products and wonderful things in our life that we want to pump up and we enjoy them, so we're going to advertise them for free. They don't pay us. We just do it because we love these things and we think you'll love them too. Also, I did want to mention this year for 2023, we actually are seeking to upgrade our podcast a little bit. This podcast started as just a fun thing to do. We bought some cheapo mics and threw it into some free software. But we're having a lot of fun, and we've gotten a lot of support, and people have told us they really enjoy what we're doing. So we'd love to upgrade the microphones and use better equipment and all that kind of stuff. And so we have actually created a GoFundMe for our podcast in order to do a couple of upgrades. I think it's like $650 for every upgrade we want to do. It's not a lot. It just gets us better microphones, better software, all that stuff that we need. And so I'll include that in the show notes if you want to click on that and actually support us. But in the meantime, what's sponsoring your life this week?
You know, I gotta say, yesterday was my birthday, and we always go out to Red Lobster for my birthday.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just seafood. Seafood is sponsoring my life. The kids don't really like seafood that much. I love seafood.
I'm not really much a seafood guy either.
Seafood, any of the seafood. Oh, that's not true. Liam does really like calamari, like octopus and squid and stuff. He'll eat that.
You deep fry a rubber hose and it'll taste delicious, right?
So he does like that, but they don't have that at Red Lobster, but they do have my favorite crab legs.
Yes.
So I enjoyed that yesterday, and so yeah, that's kind of sponsored my life this week.
It's a tradition in our family. We always take you to Red Lobster for your birthday.
It's been a tradition for like the past 6 years.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. We like it because we don't really do seafood any other time.
It's too expensive.
Well, and
it's like the one time a year we eat seafood,
and nobody else likes it.
I know, that's true.
So we
indulge me one time per year, and don't expect any more than that.
Well, we would, but it just like and crabs. I just don't have that much interest in crab in particular. But that's like your favorite one, and
it is. I love it.
Yeah. So
I mean, hey, any kind of thing you just slather in butter, and
true.
I'm there.
I like butter. I do.
I love butter.
That's a really good sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I have done food for like 2 weeks now, so I got to get off of food as an item that is sponsored. So for me, I'm gonna go with Aveeno Eczema Therapy Lotion. I love it. It is so I have eczema on my hands. My hands get tore up in the wintertime. If I don't wear gloves, like it gets all like dry and cracked, and my hands will like bleed, and it's bad. And so I'm always looking for the best lotions, and I have years of experience trying all these different lotions. And honestly, the Aveeno Eczema Therapy, it's a little expensive. It's pretty expensive for each tube, but it's so good. It's powerful, it's strong. The tube lasts me, for months and months because I don't have to use that much. But it keeps my hands from hurting, and it's so important in the middle of January, when it's like winter months, and if you're like me and you get super dry hands, highly recommend Aveeno Eczema Therapy. It's not prescription, it's over the counter, which is great because you don't always want something that's too strong like a prescription, but I love it. It is wonderful, and that is definitely sponsored my life today.
Very cool.
All right, it is time for another round of Celebrity Christian Celebrity. Now, I have prepped you not at all for this.
I was going to say, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today.
No, for those who are not familiar, we have had this segment a couple of times on the show where basically what we do is we talk about somebody out in the Christian world. So there are celebrity Christians and there are Christian celebrities. And I can never remember which one is which. But one of them is Christians who have become famous, right? Okay. You think about your like Beth Moore, or you're really famous like mega church pastors like Joel Osteen, or any of those kind of people. They're big names inside the Christian world. But then the other side, which is far more interesting to talk about, are the celebrities who were famous already who say Christian-y things, right? We talked about Chris Pratt when he gave his little speech. We've talked about,
Kanye.
Yes, Kanye is a very odd example of that. And so there are people who are very famous for other things. They're movie stars, they're music people, they're TV hosts or whatever. But then they give us a peek into their private religious life, and for some reason the Christian American subculture soaks that stuff up. They eat it up. So Matthew McConaughey goes viral off of Joe Rogan's podcast talking about how tough it is to be a Christian.
What?
Bizarre, right? So first off, didn't know Matthew McConaughey considered himself a Christian.
Let's understand what his definition of Christian is.
I don't know. So I thought this was really interesting.
Ambiguous.
This is an article. I'll share it in the show notes. It's churchleaders.com, which is they do a lot of, they cover anytime this kind of stuff pops up. They do that. So it says, if you're a Christian, you've probably felt it. Hollywood's intolerance of Christianity, whether by snarky comment made on an award show or a dig in a comedy movie or television show. But It's not often you hear one of Hollywood's beloved calling it out. That's why many were satisfied when this happened by Matthew McConaughey on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, for those who don't know, Joe Rogan has, I think, the most popular podcast in existence. It's like massive, you know.
Yeah.
Who was it? It was Spotify paid him like $100 million so that it would be exclusive to their streaming. So, and I don't listen to Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know anything about it, but I know that he's kind of controversial, and I believe he's fairly conservative. And that's what I've gotten from some of the stories. So he brings up, but he's extremely famous. He has massive stars on it, and it's a very successful podcast. You can't deny that, whether you love it or hate it. So about an hour into the podcast, it says Joe Rogan and Matthew McConaughey were discussing the Bible, which... What? He begins, McConaughey began to explain passages that he found useful. And so Joe Rogan brings up how people in Hollywood tend to focus on how people can sometimes use the Bible to harm people. And I think that's fair. You know, they take verses out of context and they use it to manipulate. So McConaughey agreed with him about Hollywood's intolerance of Christianity, and he explains some of his experience as a Christian who has been shut down, if you will. He compares the phenomenon to how we relate to the really big podcasts. They have like videos and stuff, so you can actually watch Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan on video. Okay, so here's the quote from Matthew McConaughey. He says, "I have had moments when I was on stage receiving an award from in front of my peers in Hollywood, and there were people in the crowd that I have prayed with before dinners many times. And when I thank God," like in his acceptance speech, "when I thank God, I see some of those people go to clap and then notice that, whoa, this could be a bad thing on my resume, and they sit back on their hands."
Huh?
So what he's saying basically is like, I'm a Christian and I get up at an award show and I'm doing an acceptance speech. I see other Christians in the crowd. People I know are Christians and they pray and they're out there. And I see when I say thank God for this award, I see that they're about to clap, but they won't clap because in this environment it's not safe.
I mean, they're all actors. So I don't know they could be acting right.
Apparently, the pressure to avoid being linked to Christianity in some way can be a problem because of Hollywood's intolerance of Christianity.
I mean, if they were really intolerant of his Christianity, he wouldn't be a famous person. He's a very famous actor.
He's a very successful
successful actor.
I've seen Matthew McConaughey explained, "I've seen people read the room and say that wouldn't bode well for me in the future if for getting a job or getting votes. I have seen that. I've witnessed it. I don't judge them for it. I just wish, that it seems like a silly argument." So they're talking about how there's like a peer pressure in Hollywood.
Sure.
To not be Christian. Yep.
I'm skeptical. And I mean, that's totally not fair of me. It's true. Anybody could actually be a Christian. I just feel like the proof is in your life.
Yeah, so this Rogan points out it's not a place where Christian fundamental values are espoused openly. I'm talking about like Hollywood in general. Yet, despite that, he points out Matthew McConaughey does seem to get away with it. The 52-year-old actor is one of the top actors in the world. His clout, in a way, gives him the power to talk about his Christian faith on Joe Rogan's show or anywhere else.
I mean, I'm sorry. If tomorrow the world decided to cancel Matthew McConaughey, they would cancel him regardless. Like, there's no such thing as like clout enough to have Christianity. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm very skeptical.
See, and
it's interesting because I've never heard this.
Nothing about his
from
life.
McConaughey at all, ever.
See, and I think McConaughey's been an interesting person, having absolutely nothing to do with his faith journey. I've been interested in his acting journey.
Yeah, he kind of went from being like a total joke to being like a total boss.
Yeah, like he really... Like, I remember him in terrible rom-coms of our, like, high school days, right?
Oh, my gosh, he was awful.
He made really bad movies. I
never took him seriously, and I was like, these movies are terrible.
I remember Family Guy did a thing where they made fun of him because of how bad he was.
And now he's in, like, critically acclaimed things.
Yeah, he went in a deep dive. I don't know, he, like, went and found...
He must have, like, gotten traction somewhere.
And he just started spitting out really great movies where he, like, critical acclaim. And I've watched some of them. They are good. Like, he's a a phenomenal actor. Interstellar was really big.
That's true,
He did
yeah.
Mud, which was like really, really,
I've never
really
seen
well
it.
acclaimed. What was the other one? Dallas Buyers Club. That one was powerful. It was about the FDA's battle for AIDS drugs.
Okay. Yeah, you told me about it.
It was a really kind of an intense movie. Definitely rated R for good reasons, and had some interesting messaging, you know. And it's just kind of a messy story. The FDA, you know, sort of behind the scenes. If you believe, I mean, it's a movie, it's fiction, but it is based on reality. And I don't know, it was really some interesting stuff. Very well done. And I think if I'm remembering the movie right, because he gets AIDS and he has like severe weight loss, and he looks gaunt at certain scenes. I mean, he like really got into the role, if you will.
Oh yeah.
And so there's, I guess what bothers me about it is that there's this desperate need in American culture for Christians. There's a persecution complex.
Always.
We have to be persecuted, even though we are in some, like the most comfortable country ever to be a Christian. We have the First Amendment, right? We are protected, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and it just, like, you can get socially canceled. Absolutely.
Sure.
But we are protected by law, and those protections have never been stronger. They get stronger every court case. We always win those court cases, right? Freedom of religion is so strong. And so I guess as Christians, because in the Bible talks about suffering, and it talks about how we will be persecuted and all this stuff. So we're like, we need to be persecuted, but we're not willing to actually sacrifice anything. So you get this famous person who's like, look how, and then this article is written, and they're like, look how brave he is. And he's like, it's so hard to be a Christian in Hollywood.
Yes, because we aren't allowed to speak the truth.
And I don't think it's so hard to be a Christian in Hollywood because sometimes people might not clap for you. I think it's hard to be a Christian in Hollywood because Hollywood, and not just Hollywood, but the entire media complex is designed to bolster, is that the word?
Yeah.
Bolster your pride and your ego. And it is like so contrary to the spirit of Christianity.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
The money and the fame and the glamour, it's like the opposite of the message of humility that comes from actual, the teachings of Jesus.
I still firmly hold to the fact that if you are a true Christian, you will never be a celebrity.
I struggle with it.
I firmly believe that.
We talked about this, I think, with Chris Pratt, or with Kanye. It was Kanye.
It was with Kanye,
because he's a billionaire. And it's like, can you be a billionaire? Because there's so much in the Bible about giving of yourself. And the only way to have that much is to hang on to that much. And, I don't know. It was... And so I guess, like... I mean, good for him. Yay for him saying, giving praise to God.
That's
and he's
great.
getting all the pats on the back from Americans who are saying, oh, you're right. You are so persecuted by the Hollywood that hates you. And it's like, but I don't think the real persecution is the fact that people don't clap at award shows. Or, some of my friends hide who they are. It's like, no, the real persecution is that your soul is in danger because you're living in a world that is promoting you and teaching you that you are the greatest thing ever, trying to make you a god out of you, whereas we should be submitting our life.
Celebrity life is not what Christians are called to be. Like, that's not it at all. That's not what is meant by you're a light to others. It's this shining example. No, you're acting in you. No, that's not it. I don't know. It's interesting because, like, I've never heard this at all ever about Matthew McConaughey, and I'm not saying, like, I mean, no shade. Like, he's a great actor. He really is. And if you support him or suddenly decide, hey, he's a Christian, I'm going to start watching his movie, I'm supporting him, that's great. You do.
See, and I don't like that. I know.
It bothers me, but I mean, if that's what you choose to do, is suddenly you've decided to throw your, line behind his boat, that's great. But I don't know. I don't see it. And I mean, it's not fair for me to be like, no, he's not a Christian, because who knows, maybe he actually is.
Well, and I think the safest way to deal with that, though, is like if someone comes out to be a Christian, we should not. I just think that the world is full of so many public relations experts who craft people's persona. And I just think, like, we've done this before. Like, Kanye was the darling of the evangelical world. For a little while, he put out that album that was great, and now he's really fallen by the wayside. And Chris Pratt, same deal. He was the darling. He said something, everybody
got advantageous to him for a while, and then
they threw it away.
And then he threw it away.
And I just think that, like, if you want to like an actor, don't like them just because they're a Christian or they're not a Christian, right? approve of someone's job performance based on the job. Yep. And the Christian thing, like, that's a wonderful thing. I pray for that for every Hollywood actor that exists. I want them all to know about Jesus, but I don't think that should change my opinion for or against their performance, right? And I think that's the only way to stay safe, because let's say, right, everybody finds out, oh my gosh, he's a Christian, I am going to throw everything behind him, and then in 6 months he does something decidedly anti-Christian.
Yeah,
you know?
I know, I'm sick of this stuff.
Forget
That's
those
never
Christian.
what I meant. Like, it was all taken out of context, blah, blah, blah. Like, because it was advantageous for him at the time to say something that was in support of, and then, you know, it's no longer advantageous for me, so I, you know, recant of everything. And it's like, you know, maybe we shouldn't be putting our trust in humans. Like, that's the message, you know.
And I just think people don't clap at award shows. It's just, I think they're striving for a persecution complex, which I personally think, like, I don't know. I'm struggled because I really like Matthew McConaughey's more recent movies. I think he's fun, and actually I liked his old movies, the terrible rom-coms. I like them.
I will admit, I have only ever seen his terrible rom-coms because, you know, you go to the movies with friends in high school. But
Failure to Launch.
I can't say that I've really ever seen any of his newer critically acclaimed. With this exception of Interstellar. Like, I haven't seen Interstellar because we own it, but like, I can't say I've seen any of his other movies. Then again, I don't watch a lot of movies. So
and I watch all of them.
Unless it was a musical and it was just fantastic, or a children's movie, there's a good chance I've never seen it. So
and I just thought it was a really interesting thing. And so he was on Joe Rogan talking about, and he got some, I think he definitely, as this article demonstrates, he definitely drummed up some persecution points, right? Like, he definitely got people to people were siding with him, and they're like, he's a Christian.
You got that following now. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that was, I thought it was interesting, thought it was worth talking about. Christian celebrity Christian. As much as Christians say we want to be in the world but not of the world, we get weird excited when the world supports it. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. 100%.
It's like, I thought we shouldn't care about that, and yet. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm so bad at the transition to the end of the podcast. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We love making this podcast. We hope you enjoy it. Check out that GoFundMe if you want to financially support us and improve the quality of the audio recordings and such. We love doing this, and we're going to keep doing it, and we're just going to keep upping the quality as we can. And, hit that 5 stars on Spotify. On Apple review, you can give us 5 stars, but you can also leave a written review. The more reviews we get, the more followers and likes we get, it boosts us in the algorithm, and more people can find this ridiculous podcast.
Yeah, so don't forget to check us out on that social media, all those Twitter, Instagram, Facebook pages that JJ has curated carefully over time and shares all the weird information that we find. So
the whole page is
lots of fun.
Honestly, our Facebook page is just like a big list of hilarious articles. I
don't
love
have a Facebook, so I take his word for it. So.
I think it's super. Well, I mean, the Twitter, Instagram is all the same.
I have seen the Instagram, so
yeah, it's good stuff. All right, you ready to send us out with the mom joke of the week?
I am.
Wait. Also, thank you to Music Town for the use of our theme song. We love it.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks. All right, so did you know milk is the fastest liquid on Earth?
Fastest? No.
It's pasteurized before you even see it.
Past your eyes. That's so fast. Oh, everybody, you guys have a great week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.